very dry. You see there's no marrow in the bone. You see they're scattered all over the valley. They ain't even full skeletons. I mean, the bones are scattered all over the valley. They're just bones. But answer me a question, Ezekiel. Can these bones live? Ezekiel answers the only way he knows how to answer. Lord, you know. Critical race theory was born out of critical legal theory. Am I teaching y'all something today? There emerged two common beliefs linking all critical race theories. First, white supremacy has subordinated black people and other people of color. That's just a fact. How in the world are you going to fight against that being taught in any school? White supremacy has subordinated black people and other people of color. That's a fact. Why don't you want that to be taught in school? You let your schools teach us that Columbus discovered America. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that George Washington couldn't tell a lie. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that some slave owners were beneficent and good slave owners. There were no good slave owners. Anybody who owned people was evil. That's a lie. You let your schools teach us that Abraham Lincoln was good for Negroes. No, Abraham Lincoln was trying to save the Union. And Abe Lincoln himself said if he could save the Union and keep black people in chains, he would do it. That's a lie. Come on, somebody. You let them teach us about a white Jesus. You let them teach us that Native Americans were the aggressors. Come on, somebody. That white folk had a manifest destiny and that the Pilgrims were good at Native Americans. That's a lie. All day, every day, you let them teach us lies. All throughout my history in school, I was taught lies. But you got a problem with critical race theory because it teaches the truth that white supremacy has subordinated black people and people of color. The right to bear arms. Let me just back up a little bit and let me take you on back to the late 1960s when Ronald Reagan was the governor of California. And they were oppressing black folk, and a group of men and women known as the Black Panther Party decided that they were going to defend the rights of black folk. And the Black Panthers decided that the Second Amendment wasn't just for white folk. So they strapped themselves with guns and showed up at the Capitol in California. And when they saw them Negroes with guns, come on, somebody. That's why I say if you ever really want to get gun laws changed, just strap all these Negroes up. They'll change them laws before the week is over. When the Black Panthers, watch this, I want you to read, the California legislator passed what was called the Mulford Act. It was a gun control act that decided who could get guns, who couldn't get guns, what could be in your background, what couldn't be in your background. It was the first time in history that the National Rifle Association, the NRA, supported restrictive gun legislation, all because black folk had the nerve to get strapped. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, go get strapped. Amen, somebody. Y'all gonna say Bishop told us to get strapped. I said it. Go get strapped. It just got real quiet up in here. But y'all already know I'm a triple P. Amen. Y'all know what a triple P is, right? A pistol packing preacher. Amen, somebody. Thank you, Jesus. 90.7 WTCC. Good morning and welcome to the Spoken Word. I'm your host, Bishop Talbert Swan II. And as usual, we'll be telling it like it is through cultural idioms and nuances that shape the order, ethos, and chaos of the African American experience. Words have their own vitality. They shape their own consciousness and create their own context for interpreting social and spiritual reality. The spoken word contains the power to reshape the landscape of society. 2 minutes past the hour of 9 a.m., I want to thank Mr. Kenneth Barnett for bringing us up until the 9 o'clock hour with The Promise. You can hear The Promise every single Monday morning from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., bringing you the best in gospel music. Good way to start out your Monday morning. Great way to start out your week. And I hope you all have had a blessed week. I hope and pray that your Christmas celebrations and gatherings were everything that you hope for, that you got to enjoy time with family and friends and church members and associates and with whoever you decided that you were going to connect with, and also that that you celebrated the bigger meaning of what the holiday should mean. So yeah, and hope that you all are still traveling safe. Those that are going back home, traveling over the highways, and even as we prepare for our New Year's celebrations, continue to be safe. Listen, this coming Saturday evening at the Spring of Hope Church, 35 Alden Street, Springfield, Massachusetts, at 10 p.m., Watch Night service. Watch Night. Come on out and join us. 7 preachers, 7 minutes, 7 trumpets. We're going to be bringing in the new year together. All right. So you want to be a part of that. All right. So check us out on Watch Night. Listen, don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. We're going to be talking about what are the priorities for Black America for 2023. You know, a lot has happened over the last couple of years with the pandemic, the George Floyd protest, and all of those things that went on. Seemingly have been forgotten about. And so my question is, what are our priorities? What should they be for the year of 2023? There have been those who've criticized me for my critique on America's involvement in Ukraine and all that. I just happen to think Ukraine shouldn't be our priority, that Black folk have bigger fish to fry. All right. And we're going to talk about that. All right. So tell a friend, tell somebody. The bishop is on the air right now. And the next time I talk to you on this program won't be until the next year. So in any case, rep your city, rep your town. Let me know where you're chiming in from. Going to take a short musical spoken word break, and we'll be back. Don't go nowhere. All right.
You better think, because the Bible said, as a man think. The reason we ain't is because what we think we are. The essence of life is growth, but the essence of growth is change. The being in the road will be the end of the road if you refuse to change. Reach a little higher, reach a little higher, dig a little deeper, dig a little deeper, go a little further, go a little further. Come on, come on, come on. Reach a little higher, come on, yeah. Dig a little deeper, dig a little deeper, go a little further, go a little further. Come on, but don't stop. The essence of life is growth, but the essence of growth is change. The The being in the road will be the end of the road if you refuse to change. Your life will never change until you get disgusted with where you are. Whatever you don't hate is what you tolerate. You must learn from the past, plan for the future, and live for today. For it is your daily routine that determines your success or failure in life. It's the choices that you have made up until this point that will determine the rest of your life. So break the cycle that doing enough is simply good enough. You only get out what you put in, so don't settle for the crumbs when you can have the whole loaf. So push yourself beyond your limitations. Come on. Reach a little higher. Reach a little higher. Dig a little deeper. Dig a little deeper. Go a little further. Don't stop. Don't stop. Come on. Don't stop. Reach a little higher. Reach a little higher. Dig a little deeper. Dig a little deeper. Go a little further. Go a little further. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. So you got to break the routine of trying to beat the system. Manipulators will always try to bypass the process for the quick progress. There are no shortcuts to success. There are no elevators to the top. You got to take it one step at a time. You got to break the routine of allowing others to get into your head and control who you are and where you're going. You see, when you're about the positive, you're going to always have haters. But don't let your haters push you down. Let your haters push you forward to the next level. So when people show you who they really are, don't perceive them to be something else that they're not. See, a zebra does not change his stripes. So you got to keep pushing yourself to the next level. Yeah, there you go. Come on. Be a little deeper. Come on. Yeah. Go a little further. Go a little further. Don't stop. Come on. Don't stop. Come on. Yeah. Reach a little higher. Reach a little higher. Be a little deeper. Dig a little deeper. Go a little further. Go a little further. Come on. Come on. Come on. You got to understand that greatness is the nature that you were born out of. You'll never discover your greatness without hard work and dedication. Greatness says more about who you are and what you expect for yourself. And greatness will always attract greatness. Show me your friends and I'll show you the future. You're just a step away. You're just a step away. You're just a step away. Don't ever give up. Come on. You're just a step away. You're almost there. Come on. You got to push yourself beyond your limitations. You see, there's no mountain too high, no valley too low. You can go where you want to go. It's all in the power of your imagination. If you can see the invisible, you can do the impossible. So stretch yourself. Take yourself to the next level. Come on, come on, come on. Reach a little higher. Dig a little deeper. Go a little further. Come on, come on, come on. Don't stop. Come on. Reach a little higher. Dig a little deeper. Go a little further. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Come on. Yeah. Come on. Come on. Blessings are coming your way. Go a little further. Don't stop. Don't stop until you get your dream. Don't stop. Get your dream. Until you get your dream. Come on. Don't stop until you get your dream. Don't stop. Get your dream. Come on. Yeah. Don't stop. Come on. Come on. Come on. Go for the goal. Come on. You gotta go for the goal. You gotta go for the goal. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Come on. Yeah. Come on. Come on. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Don't stop. Don't stop. Yeah. What you make in a year, you gonna make it a month. And what you make in a month, you gonna make it a week. And what you make in a week, you gonna make it a day. Because the blessings are coming your way, baby.
I look in the mirror and I like what I see. A strong, beautiful black woman staring back at me. One who's seen a lot of pain and had her share of sorrow, but who never gave up hope for a brighter tomorrow. I've been lied to, cheated on, stolen from, and hid. But it just made me stronger, and I refuse to quit. That's right. And though I've been tempted, I refuse to stoop to their level. Don't go down. I rose above that nonsense and made a liar of the devil. All right now. The devil who said I wasn't good enough, cute enough, or worthy of love, I kicked his butt with divine power from above. Power that says I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me and brought me out of darkness so that I could see that I'm smart, I'm beautiful, I'm a child of the King. Abundant love for me he came to bring. Oh yes, when I look in the mirror, I love what I see. She's looking good. That strong, beautiful black woman, that woman is me.
90.7 WTCC. Good morning to each and every one of you, those who are listening in the Pioneer Valley, checking us out here in Massachusetts, Connecticut, Vermont, wherever you are throughout the valley. Good morning to you. Hope you had a Merry Christmas. To those in our extended audience who are chiming in from across the globe in other places through the World Wide Web, good morning to you. I hope you all having a blessed holiday season. Listen, they start Kwanzaa. Umoja is the principle of today on the first day of Kwanzaa. Then we move to Kujichagulia, Ujima, Nia, Kumba, and I love that it ends with Imani, which is faith. It starts with Umoja, which is unity, and it ends with Imani, which is faith. So we're grateful to begin that celebration as well today. And there will be a Umoja celebration here in the field at the Springfield Boys and Girls Club at 12 noon today. So check that out. A lot of good stuff that's going to be happening at the Kwanzaa celebration. And speaking of unity, listen, where should Black America be in terms of its priorities for 2023? Because I know many of you are making your New Year's resolutions, talking about what's going to be different this year, all the weight you're going to lose, the eating habits that you're going to change, the way you're going to prioritize yourself and your health and your mental health and all of that. And all that's great. That's great. But listen, where do we stand as a collective, as a community? And where should we be? I saw a lot of Black folks when Vladimir Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, showed up wearing his Timberlands and fatigues to the White House and addressed the joint session of Congress. There were a lot of Black folks who were jumping on board with celebrating this guy. And I was kind of surprised at some of the faces that I saw tweeting out and using their platforms to give kudos to this guy, acting like he was some kind of a international hero or something. And I saw Black folks talking about, I'm so proud of you and all this kind of, and I'm just like, proud of what? Of what? And I know, Black people, I know that we are very empathetic when it comes to people being oppressed, mistreated, facing injustice because of our own history. And so we're the first ones. When Russia attacked Ukraine, Y'all was the first ones throwing up the Ukrainian flag. Y'all was the first ones pray for Ukraine. Black pastors were having prayer meetings for Ukraine. Do you think a Ukrainian, and I know we don't do tit for tat and all that stuff, but I just ask, just throwing out rhetorical questions. You think Ukrainian pastors ever said, let's pray for Black America? You think they would ever said, my goodness, look how America is mistreating them black folk? You think they ever threw up a red, black, and green flag on their Twitter and Facebook profiles and said, we stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters, our Black brothers and sisters in America? No. As a matter of fact, and I think I touched on this on Friday, the Peace Corps put out a warning to Black volunteers that as America was spending billions of dollars to resettle Ukrainian refugees and sending billions of dollars to Ukraine, to the tune of about 60 billion now, but you don't have no reparations. But anyway, they put out a warning and said, be careful. Because of their anti-Black racism, Ukrainian refugees might call y'all the N-word. They may call you monkeys. They may refer to you by other racial slurs, and they may physically attack you. Okay? This was the warning that was put on the website of the Peace Corps, warning Black Peace Corps volunteers that they could be physically attacked, called niggers and monkeys and other racial epithets by Ukrainians. Amazing how Ukrainian refugees were running from a fight with white Eastern Europeans, but coming to America and starting a fight with the Black Americans that were trying to save them. That's how insidious anti-Black racism is across the globe, across the world. And I say that to say, I understand there's a global impact to the war in Ukraine. I understand that. I get it. I do. But I just don't think it's Black America's concern. That we ought to be getting caught up in white-on-white violence halfway across the world. White Eastern Europeans fighting each other. I don't think Black America's taxpayer dollars should be going to fund that. When you won't fund reparations, or you won't fund police reform, or you won't fund reforms to this criminal injustice system that we face in these yet to be United States of America, I don't think my tax dollars should be going to help white Eastern Europeans that don't like Black people fight other white Eastern Europeans who don't like Black people. Okay? Now that's my perspective on it. Now, y'all want to put up your little flags and pray for Ukraine and all that. Yeah, we ought to pray universally for peace amongst the human family across the globe. I'm just saying Ukraine ain't our priority. All right? We got a war that we fighting right here. Right here. Okay? Right here in America. All right, so listen, let's just figure out what our priorities ought to be. I see you, Bishop Albert Mays. Bless you, my brother Bishop. Happy New Year to you. Are y'all repping your city, repping your town? Come on, type it in the comments, those in the Twitter space and elsewhere. Holler back at me. Let me get Untouchable Jay, who's always at the ready. in the spot. What's going on, good brother?
Good brother, good morning. You all either know, represent New England, hailing the great state of Connecticut. Happy New Year, Bishop.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to brother Marcel Dixon in the room as well.
All right, I didn't see. I wasn't paying attention to the room. What's up, Marcel? Shout out, my brother.
Brother Dixon is in the room. You know, when you talked about the topic, you know, a lot of times these very introspective things come in and we think deep. And I say, you know what, let me breathe as you were speaking. And I think the first priority we need to recognize and work on as Black Americans is what Chancellor Williams and some of the great Black master teachers said, and that's liberate ourselves from that little white person in our minds for those where it applies. Then we can put our own best interests first. We can start thinking about Black people globally, locally, internationally, and just do for self. Then that way, I feel all the other issues, how we deal with reparations, how we deal with our jobs, our families, our spirituality can increase, and we can just do better on that note. So I think if we just liberate our minds and start focusing on ourselves, to your point, you know, we're praying for Ukraine and we praying for this person. We got folks praying for Meg Thee Stallion. We do everything but think about ourselves and our people first. So once we start doing that, brother, I think we'll be fine. I'll land it there. And again, Happy New Year. God bless you, brother.
All right. Bless you, my brother. If you're in the Twitter space, put your request in. We'll get you up on the stage. What should the priorities of Black America be? We're entering into 2023 in a few days. We're clear on the challenges we face because of racism. We're also clear on what some of the solutions should be, although white America tends to not agree with us in terms of what those solutions are. And they range from the overhauls on police practices in the criminal justice system to civic engagement and reparations to the descendants of people enslaved in the United States. And I understand changing U.S. institutions such as policing, courts, and prison systems is a difficult road to toe. But it needs to be done. It needs to be done. There are multiple aspects of the criminal justice system that, and I'm not talking about minor changes, I'm talking about major changes and complete overhauls. Complete overhauls. Some of these systems don't need to be reformed. They need to be dismantled altogether, and rebuilt because they were built and are serving the purpose for which they were built. And that's what sometimes we don't really understand. When people sometimes say the system isn't working, no, the system is working exactly how it was designed to work. Let me get Brother Marcel up in here. It's working how it was designed to work. And that's real. That's real. Brother Marcel, you're in the place.
Hey, how are you this morning? Good morning.
I'm good. You?
I'm doing well. I just want to make a comment. One, that's been our biggest issue as Black Americans politically ever since the Civil Rights Movement. We've always tried to be this we are the world type people, whereas other groups have no problem being self-interested. Other groups have no problem following the first rule of nature, self-preservation first and foremost. That's why when these other groups get policies, by and large, you have some who will say, hey, what about Black Americans? But for the most part, they focus completely on their own interests. That is something we seem incapable of doing, but it is starting to change, and I know you noticed it. The second thing, a lot of your colleagues, Mr. Swan, in the media, they are not going to, they're going to toe whatever line the Democratic Party tells them to. Yes, you have some who will toe whatever line the Republicans tell them to, but we know that the Democratic Party would not exist without Black Americans. So most Black Americans, politically speaking, you can safely assume that they are going to be Democrats or around the Democratic Party. You are an exception to the rule. You have no problems. Yeah, you'll call out the Republicans for their nonsense, but you also call out the Democrats, and you sometimes get a backlash for that, but you stand your ground. And that makes you unique in the world of Black media. So when I hear these other Black people in the radio celebrating Zelensky, they're just simply doing what they feel will get them brownie from the Democratic Party. Because as you mentioned, Zelensky has not said one word about a Black man who just froze to death in the streets of Buffalo, New York City. Zelensky doesn't say one word about Black Americans owning less homes now than we did during the days of Jim Crow. He doesn't say one word about us losing 90% of our land and still declining.
And Zelensky never came out publicly to condemn that blatant display of racism in Ukraine when refugees were trying to escape and they were keeping Black people behind.
I was just about to mention that. But guess what? I'm along with this. When that was happening, though, he had the nerve to use a Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. quote to ask our country to send him more money. Meanwhile, he's over there having African refugees, African refugees, be assaulted by Ukrainian soldiers. This man is not our hero. He's not our ally. And I land there. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
All right. Appreciate you, brother. Absolutely correct. And see, that those are the things you've got to pay attention to. That's what was so confusing to me about these Black folks that were making a hero out of this man, talking about how proud they were of him. Proud of what? When Ukrainian soldiers were telling Africans they couldn't leave the country as people were trying to escape. The Ukrainians first, in other words, white folks first. When they literally had shelters and places to house people open, and they closed the doors to people with melanin in their skin. This guy said nothing, did nothing. And like Brother Marcel said, had the caucasity to quote MLK to ask America for money. Then he came over here and said, America's money is not charity. It's an investment. Well, how come America can invest in Ukraine and invest in Israel and invest in other places across the globe that perpetuate white supremacy just like it does? Because let's not get it twisted. Russia, Ukraine, Israel, they all perpetuate white supremacy. That's what the whole subjugation of the Palestinians and of Ethiopian Jews are in Israel. It's the perpetuation of white supremacy. In America sends Israel $4 billion a year, every single year. Matter of fact, they made the commitment to give them an additional $38 billion during the Obama administration that they're still paying on. So America has no problem investing in white supremacy, but it won't invest in Black America. And as he stated, much of this is being pushed by Democrats. And we can condemn Republicans, as we should, for their overt racism, but we ought to condemn Democrats as well for their foolery. They won't even talk about reparations. They talked about reparations during the Democratic primary in 2020, before they pared the field down and Biden came out on top. It was a topic of conversation during the debates, et cetera, et cetera. But once that primary was over with, Democrats ain't said nothing about reparations ever since. Not a word. And Biden's administration let it be known that it's not a priority. It's not a priority for him. And unfortunately, it ain't a priority for the vice president. Okay? And I know y'all are sensitive when it comes to Kamala Harris. First Black vice president, AKA Howard University, all that stuff. All that is symbolism. Yeah, we can say, we got somebody in the Divine Nine that's in the White House. Somebody who went to a historically black college or university is in the White House. But if that black person that you're bragging on is black, doesn't stand up for black people, what the heck difference does it make? Really? I just want to know. I just want to know. Somebody help me understand. Because if anybody ought to be advocating for us, it ought to be those at the highest levels of government. A Kamala Harris, a Jim Clyburn, who Brother Marcel ran against. And now we've got a black man who is the leader of the Democrats in the House of Representatives. And so we want to know what they are going to do to advance the cause of black people specifically. And here is the problem. They always shy away when it comes to specific policies for black people. And they always come up with this excuse, well, we can't do anything specific for black people because, basically white folks get mad about that. So we we couch it in other policies that help everybody. And then we say that it will help black people too. It will help black people too. And why do we always have to be an afterthought? It'll help us too. When we know every single policy that has ever been designed to help us too has always benefited other folk. Let's just keep it a buck. Let's keep it a buck. Affirmative action, for instance. Who has affirmative action helped the most? It hadn't been black people. It has not been black people. You know who has helped the most? White women. White women. It was supposed to be designed to help black people, but it's helped white women. And so we've got to hold the feet to the fire of people like a Clyburn, like a Kamala Harris, like a Hakeem Jeffries, who is the successor to Nancy Pelosi as the leader of the Democrats in the House of Representatives, to promulgate policies that are specific for us. Everybody else can have something specific. LGBTQ, Latinos, Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, Native Americans, immigrants from South America, and everybody can get something specific. Money laid aside specifically for Afghan refugees, billions of dollars. Money laid aside specifically for Ukrainian refugees, billions of dollars. Everybody else gets a specific policy, a specific law, a specific hate crime, a specific pot of money. And then when it comes to black folk, well, we can't do that. We can't do that. In 2023, we got to demand better, y'all. Got to demand better, especially with the Democratic Party, since 90-something% of us vote for them. As Brother Marcel said, there would be no Democrat Party without the votes of black people. Y'all are the ones who put them in power in 2020. Y'all are the ones who allowed them to keep the Senate in 2022. Y'all are the ones who kept them from facing a bloodbath in the House of Representatives. Y'all are the ones who got Raphael Warnock back in the U.S. Senate. And what's going to happen? I'm going to give you a prediction right now. They're going to turn around And when the new Congress comes into place in the new year, they're going to tell you, black people, listen, we don't have enough seats. We don't have enough of a majority in the Senate. And we need to retake the House of Representatives. And we need to maintain the presidency. So if y'all vote for us in 2024, give us the House back, give us more Senate seats, and reelect Biden, then we're going to do something for black people. It's the same story that we hear after every election. After every election. Yeah, y'all did okay. Y'all did good. You know, you helped us out. But come out in bigger numbers. Vote better. Give us higher majorities. And then we'll get to a black agenda. In the meantime, they passing out, they making it rain on everybody else. You get a hate crime law, and you get a hate crime law, and you get billions of dollars, and you get billions of dollars, and you get an executive order, and you get some candy, and you get some ice cream. And black America, y'all get Juneteenth. Come on, man. We deserve better than that. We deserve better than that. We wanted a decrease in police spending. We wanted monies pumped into medical, mental health, social services as higher priorities for those funds. So a movement was started that was called Defund the Police. And of course, it did not mean take all the money away from the police. It meant reappropriate those funds. Let's spend some in the school systems. Let's spend some on roads and water systems, infrastructure, reducing taxes, increasing wages, mental health, and all of those kinds of things. And at first, Democrats acted like they were on board with it when they wanted our votes. When they wanted our votes, it was defund the police. When Biden first addressed Congress, he talked about defunding the police. He used Eric Garner's daughter as a prop to talk about the need for police reform. And 10 months later, when the political winds blew and he saw defund the police was no longer sexy, it was no longer, a good talking point for the Democrats, he flipped the script. And when he gave his State of the Union, he said, we don't need to defund the police. Fund them. Then he told states, cities and towns, and municipalities that got COVID relief money, take some of that COVID relief money, forget about the people, put it into your police departments. Yeah. Then he turned around and proposed Crime Bill 2.0. $13 billion more dollars to put 100,000 new police in our cities and towns with no accountability measures because they failed to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. So no police reform, but we're going to pump more police into your streets so they can go upside your head and crack necks and sever spines. This is what the Democrats did, y'all. Not the Republicans, the Democrats. Okay? While we're reeling from white supremacy and racism, and y'all went up one side and down one side of Tim Scott for saying America is not a racist country. Y'all let Joe Biden slide for saying the same thing. Y'all let Kamala Harris slide for saying the same thing. Don't give me no, well, it's politics. She had to say that. No, the hell she didn't. No, she didn't. She could have kept her mouth shut. Don't give me no politics made her say America is not racist. How you gonna be a black woman in America with all the hell black people face in America and have the audacity to part your lips the day after a black Republican says America is not a racist country and agree with him and say the same thing? Integrity demanded that she say, yes, America is racist. And she could have fixed it up with whatever she wanted to in terms of what priorities their administration is prioritizing to stem the tide of racism, but to have the audacity to say it's not a racist country, and y'all let her slide because she's black, saying that foolishness, and y'all made excuses for her. And there is no excuse. No excuse. Jim Clyburn said the same thing 24 hours after Tim Scott. We just had him as a keynote at the Conference of National Black Churches in Florida. But this man said 24 hours after Tim Scott said America is not a racist country, Jim Clyburn got on national television and said America is not racist. That you have pockets of racism here and there, as if racism was an individual thing and not systemic. Clyburn knows better than that. But because he was Democrat, y'all let him get away with it. Y'all didn't go up one side of him and down the other. Y'all didn't go up one side of Kamala and down the other. Y'all didn't go up one side of Joe Biden and down the other like you did Tim Scott. Y'all called him Uncle Tom. Y'all started calling him Uncle Tim. Uncle Tim was literally trending on all social media outlets because of what Tim Scott said. But Uncle Jim was never trending. Auntie Kamala was never trending. Listen, if something is insidious, if something is stupid, if something is crazy, if Republicans do it, how come it ain't just as crazy when Democrats do it? Y'all have to stop this unequivocal defense of Democrats no matter what they do. I keep giving y'all this example, and I know y'all sick of hearing it, and I don't really care if you are. But I keep giving you the example of how when Donald Trump was deporting Haitians, y'all had a fit. You said it was racist. This is racist. This is nothing but racism. He's deporting them because they're black. And he deported 6,500 Haitians in his 4 years as president. And y'all said it was racist. That's what you said. You said it was racist because he deported 6,500 Haitians. Joe Biden shows up and deports 30,000 Haitians in the first year of his administration using Title 42, the same racist provision that Trump used to deport them. He deported 5 times as many Haitians in 1 year than Trump did in 4 years, and y'all never called it racist. I'm confused. How if a white Republican does something, it's racist, but then if a white Democrat does it 5 times worse, it ain't racist. Come on, black people, we got to do better. We got to be consistent. We got to stop this justifying what Democrats. We're like the proverbial abused spouse who's putting sunglasses over a black eye, lying and telling folks we fell down the stairs when we know good and well the Democrats punched us in the eye. we got a cast on our arm, and we lying telling folk we tripped when we know the Democrats pushed us down the stairs. Stop making excuses for the emotional, economic, and all kinds of other abuses that black folks go through with this party. Let's just tell the truth. Okay? 413-736-2781. I see somebody being ignorant in my comments here. Let me see. 413-736-2781 is the number if you're in the Pioneer Valley and you want to call in to the program and chime in. What should our priorities be in 2023? If you're in the Twitter space, put your request up, and we'll get you on the stage. So not only do we know that we need to overhaul policing, we say voting and buying black are important strategies for our advancement. Yeah, we do need political and civic engagement to move our communities forward. But here's the thing, if we're going to continue to give 90% of votes to Democrats, then we need to put some in office who are going to speak for and act in our best interest. All right? We need to do that. Yes, we need to support black businesses. We need black economic and political independence. We need all of that. Those are the things that those who represent us should be talking about, should be prioritizing. And then even those things that don't get them political brownie points. Like, when's the last time you heard any Democrat talking about defunding the police? Just think about it. When? You ain't heard it because they've abolished it from their platform because it's not politically expedient. Even though it's beneficial for black people, it ain't politically expedient. And then, man, don't talk about reparations. Don't talk about supporting repayment for the horrible crucible of slavery. Don't talk about the atonement. And this is not a new phenomenon like people act like it does. It predates the founding of the United States. It was as early as 1672 that abolitionists advocated for enslaved people to be paid for their labor. This ain't nothing new. Nothing new. And there are even some U.S. cities and institutions that are starting to implement reparations policies. I mean, the legacy of slavery, and I don't care, these folks would tell you, this was 150 years ago. Nobody today ever owned a slave. Nobody today ever was a slave, yada, 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 yada. But the reality is the legacy of slavery affects the position of black people in the U.S. today. They act like it was so far gone. My father, who I was with this weekend during the Christmas holiday, and his siblings, some of who are still alive today, are the grandchildren of enslaved people. See, y'all act like it's been so long ago. Let me say that again. My daddy is the grandson of enslaved people. There are people alive today who remember their grandparents who were slaves. Okay? And I don't have time to go into a whole lesson to teach white folks of how slavery still affects us to this day. They act like something that happened a couple generations ago have no effect on current generations. They understand how that works when it benefits them. They understand how if great granddaddy was wealthy and passed wealth down to granddaddy, down to daddy, down to me, they understand how that works perfectly well. But then they pretend like they can't understand how if my great granddaddy was a slave and had nothing to pass down to my granddaddy, who was a sharecropper, who had nothing to pass down to my daddy, who in turn had nothing to pass down to me, that's all an effect of slavery. They pretend like they don't understand how that works. And then they want to abolish teaching about it. Let's not talk about it. Let's not deal with it. That's critical race theory. No, that's US history. US history is not critical race theory. Okay? Just so you understand, US history is not critical race theory. It's just US history. That's what it is. And to try to criminalize telling the truth about US history, I mean, that is just crazy. It's just it's insane. It's insane. And then we got black folk who jump on the bandwagon with these narratives. And they get on television and other platforms and they push this. I'm not oppressed. I saw this black guy at a school board meeting. I forget which city or town it was in. I mean, he was your typical coon. He put on his super coon cape and got before all these white folks at the school board meeting. I am not oppressed. I teach my children that they're not oppressed. And critical race theory is wrong because it teaches my children that they're oppressed. Negro, shut up. It teaches your children about the very real history of oppression of our people. And of course, you know, he had all white folks around him clapping. Hey, you know, good Negro, good Negro. And let me tell you, brothers and sisters, that ought to be one of the priorities going into the new year. Is that we gotta deal with the coons in our community. And I know some of you all think, you know, we just need to ignore them. No, coons are dangerous. Coons are dangerous. Coons that get you killed. It was coons that got Nat Turner killed. Okay? Who partnered with our oppressors to snitch on the plots and plans that people like Nat Turner had to liberate our people that got him killed. Coons got Denmark Vesey killed. Coons were trying to get Harriet Tubman killed. So don't sit here and say we ought to just ignore the coons. No. We got to expose the coons. We got to call out the coons. We got to deal with the coons in our community. And every black community has its resident coons. Everyone. Okay? We got them here in Springfield. Y'all might know who they are. We got our coons. Hartford got their coons. Boston got their coons. New York got their coons. Every black community has its share of coons. So that ought to be one of the priorities for 2023. Is we got to deal with the coons in our community. Malcolm talked about that. Malcolm talked about, you know, he talked about how the Chinese dealt with the Uncle Tom Chinese. That's what he called them, the Uncle Tom Chinese. We got to deal with the community coons. Yeah, for real. I'm dead serious. And don't be shy. Don't be shy. That ought to be one of the priorities for 2023. Call out the coons. So, somebody put that in a hashtag. Somebody in the Twitter space put that in a hashtag. Hashtag call out the coons. Somebody on Facebook and YouTube do that too. Put that hashtag in there. Hashtag call out the coons. That ought to be a priority. And coons come in all shapes and sizes. They come in all walks of life. You got coon politicians. You got coon preachers. You got coon entertainers. You got coon athletes. You got coon, actors, coon doctors, coon lawyers, coon police officers. Just here come the coons. The coons come out at night. The coons come out at night. Yeah. Did y'all? I don't see that hashtag in my comment section yet, in the chat yet. Somebody put that in there. Hashtag call out the coons. Come on, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Throw it in there. Hashtag call out the coons, because that's what we're doing in 2023. All right. We're going to call out the coons. Sick of them. We need a coon rehabilitation program. All right. That's what we need. We need a coon rehabilitation program. I'm concerned about the coons, brothers and sisters. We need to help the coons. We need to see if there's anything that can be done to rehabilitate and help the coons. All right? Can we do that? You got some coons in your family you need to help. You need to send them to coon detox. They need to go to coon rehab. Oh my goodness. They need help, y'all. They need help because they're selling out our community. Listen, I gotta go. Listen, for real though, I gotta go. I'm out of time. If you're in the 413 and you're looking for a place to worship on New Year's Eve, and many people still don't know what that's all about. Watch Night in 1862, when Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, it went into effect January 1st, 1863. So on December 31st, 1862, Black folks went out into the woods or wherever they could gather to have a watch night, to wait for midnight to come, so the effective date of their emancipation would take place. And so ever since then, it has been a tradition in Black churches to have what we call watch night services, where we gather together on December 31st in the evening, in a worship service, and we bring in the new year together at midnight. Bring in the new year, pray it in, have breakfast after the first meal of the year. So we will have our watch night celebration on December 31st at the Spring of Hope Church at 10 p.m. So if you're in the 413, come on down to 35 Alden Street. All right. Going to be good stuff happening on that night to bring in the new year. And yes, we'll be back at church that Sunday morning at 11 o'clock a.m. For our morning worship celebration. Coming up next is Mid-Morning Jazz with none other than Mr. James Lewis. So those of you who are in the Pioneer Valley, don't y'all go nowhere, okay? Because good music is coming up right now. Until the next time I talk to you and you talk to me, always remember God loves you and so do I. Peace. I'll see y'all soon. See y'all Friday. Check me out on the Black Love Experience, Friday at 9 a.m. Deuces.
Yes, sir.
What's going on, good brother?
How's that cool watch going?
Oh.